Well, hello. Thank y'all, everybody, for taking time today to join us. And so my name is Marissa Vasquez from Phoenix House. I also have Dianita Romero on the call, and then also Sarah Jackson, too. So we're excited to provide this parent series to y'all. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to throw them in the chat box, and either Sarah and Dianita will help me out and monitor the chat box, and then also the Anita will also probably be chiming in here and there. She actually helps lead and facilitate our Strengthening Families program, where this information is pulled from. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get started on the presentation. Okay, so if you do have social media, please feel free to follow us on social media. We do have a Instagram page. Also, we do have a Facebook page where we share different information about some of the events we're doing. We also share information about upcoming events as well that we have going on. And then we also have posts that we get from Health and Human Services. That's our main provider of funding. So just to kind of share a little bit about Phoenix House. So currently here in Texas, we have our prevention education services, that highlight the dangers of drug use, reinforce self-esteem, and educate teens to make positive choices. We provide these services in a variety of settings and ways, including research-based curriculum in public and private schools, presentations at community centers, detention centers, and outreach services at local churches and health fairs. Phoenix House prevention programs give young people and their families the education and skills needed to avoid substance use and misuse and to take control of their lives. Services are offered to students, faculty members, parents, and high-risk youth involved in the juvenile justice systems. Just to kind of tell you a little bit about some of the information or programs that we offer. So we do offer evidence-based curricula for students and parents. We have a life skills training program that we offer in the schools for 3rd through 12th graders. It kind of depends on the age, on the grade they're in. So the lessons can range anywhere from 8 weeks to 15 weeks, and usually we'll go once a week for whatever amount of time that's required for that grade level. We typically go into either maybe a social studies class or English language arts class, or because our goal is to try to reach all the students in that entire grade level and still within like a classroom setting. We also offer the Strengthening Families program, which this information that we'll be covering this series is pulled from. So the Strengthening Families is actually a 11-week program that we provide after school at various schools, apartment complexes, and our community centers. And we have families come once a week for 11 weeks. We do a hybrid version where some classes are in person, some are in person. With all of our classes, we do have a meal provided for them. So if it's in person, we'll actually bring food for the families to share together. And then if it's virtual, then we'll provide a gift card after each family has attended the sessions. Also, in addition to the evidence-based curriculums, we also have what we call standalone presentations. And so some of those might include substance use and abuse for alcohol or underage drinking, marijuana, tobacco, vaping, prescription drugs, fentanyl, and all other different substances that a school might be experiencing, some usage with. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started on the presentation itself. So today we're going to be talking about stress and anger management. And as I mentioned, it is derived from the Strengthening Families program. My name is Marissa Vasquez. I am the prevention director for our programs here in Austin and in Dallas. And then my email address is located there. I'll also provide this information at the end of presentation, and I'll also put in the chat box in case you have any other questions about the presentation or any of the programs that we offer. So we're going to start off with a video just to kind of talk about how stress affects the brain.
Stress is a normal part of life, and it's not always bad. In the right amount, it can motivate you to get things done. But stress becomes harmful if it's overwhelming or long-term. When you're stressed, the fear center in the brain, called the amygdala, takes over. The brain sends out a distress call, which results in the adrenal glands located above the kidneys releasing hormones that speed up your heartbeat and breathing and push more blood to your muscles. Once the threat passes, your stress response winds down. For our prehistoric ancestors being chased by wild animals, this fight or flight response could be very useful, but in the modern world, it's a problem when the perceived threat never goes away. When the brain is under constant stress, it can change in ways that make you even more vulnerable to stress. A constant flood of stress hormones can also do damage by weakening your immune system, leaving you more prone to infections. It may trigger inflammation that puts you at greater risk for conditions like heart disease and diabetes. Learning how to cope with stress can help minimize these effects. Try practicing relaxation techniques like meditation, yoga, or deep breathing. Do at least 30 minutes of moderately intense exercise like brisk walking on most days, which can calm your body and mind. Get at least 7 hours of sleep. Seek support from friends and loved ones, and if necessary, talk to a mental health professional. The better you're able to handle stress, the less likely that life's bumps will knock you off track.
Okay, so I thought that was like a good short little video just to kind of get us started on, especially on how it affects our brain. So as you may or may not know, we do have positive and negative stress. When our brain perceives a threatening or stressful situation, it triggers chemicals that shut down body systems not needed for instant survival, like our immune system. It raises our blood pressure and heart rate and diverts blood from our brains to our large muscles. While some stress is positive in helping us become energized to finish demanding tasks, too much stress is negative. When our body remains in a negative stress, high alert to danger mode for long periods, it starts to impair our health. It also makes us more likely to respond aggressively to people or things that stress us. Because stress is triggered by our thoughts and circumstances, the more we take control of these, the more we're able to reduce negative stress. So one thing is, of course, not to try to take on too many things at once, because that in itself can be stressful. There has been a lot of studies about how stress can affect the brain. And also because it affects the brain, it starts, as it mentioned here, it starts affecting everything else in the body as well. I always kind of like to talk about what we do in the classroom settings as well. So most of our, I think most of not all our curriculums, they do have a session that does talk about stress to the students and or families who are involved in the family program, because we understand that if we aren't doing well, mentally, if there's a lot of stress going on, a lot of, anxiety going on, then that can definitely affect our relationships, our attitude. For students, it can definitely affect them academically as well. And so these are just some things that can cause stress for youth and parents. And of course, if you have anything else, please throw them in the chat box just so we can, like I said, know, what are some other things, because obviously this is not a full entire list, because different things stress out people as well. So some things that can cause stress for youth and parents, it might be negative thoughts about oneself, problems with friends, being rejected, family health problems, fighting or hostility within the family, having too many activities, being involved in a lot of extracurricular activities can be stressful for youth and parents too, because you're having to drive them around to those or take them to those activities. Too high expectations, lack of time organization. I know with one of the lessons for our 5th and 6th graders, that's something we talk about is what are some of the time wasters that we have and that we typically might engage in. Also clutter at home, not getting enough sleep, right? That's definitely one thing that I think parents and youth can definitely struggle with is getting enough sleep. Because at least I know for, us as adults, we probably should at least be getting 8 hours of sleep if we can. And then for some young folks, it should be at least from 10 to 12 hours, but that means them going to sleep really early. So that sometimes may not be realistic. Poor nutrition, lack of exercise, parental divorce, school change, bullying, unsafe neighborhoods, lies, dishonesty, family economic problems, overspending or going over budget, difficulties with coworkers, or even like, if this is for youth, difficulties with other students, demanding family members, the death of a loved one, resentment, lack of interpersonal and social skills. I think a lot of us know that with COVID or the pandemic, it definitely didn't help out with the social skills. As we know, it might be already a hard thing for youth to engage, socially with, and that really was a challenge for a lot of youth to overcome now, because there was almost 2 years where they didn't really have the opportunity to really interact socially. So that can definitely put some stress on some individuals. Also, take too many responsibilities, violent music or video games. Also, too much on the screen, whether that be, if they are gaming, if they're on, TV, cell phones, or any other devices as well. Are there any other examples in the chat box that anybody wanted to throw in there? Some other things that might cause stress for youth and parents? And then if Bianita and Sarah can just tell me yes or no, just because it's hard for me to see.
There are not any
Okay.
suggestions.
All right, awesome, thank you. So this is actually a worksheet that's pulled from the Strengthening Families curriculum, and it's just something for us to kind of test where our stress is coming, or check the symptoms that we are feeling, depending if they're, because we have different types of stress and they affect us in different ways. So we have some that are physical. So may include tired, where you can't sleep or sleeping too much. Also, maybe not being able to eat or eating too much. So it kind of happens either way. Colds, headaches. Then there's the emotional part of it. So worrying a lot, having bad dreams, mood swings, crying often, or kind of shutting down, not wanting to talk. Sometimes talking too much as well. Sometimes when people are stressed, they may be feeling the need to overshare as well. It can affect our attitudes. So feeling empty, feeling angry at ourselves or others, having self-doubt, feeling like anything that we do is meaningless. Also social, that may affect us having fewer friends. We're trying to stay at home more often, feeling lonely, manipulative, we clamp up. Also our thinking, forget things, can't concentrate, our mind wanders, we feel confused, we start thinking negatively, feel bored. And then also, our productivity, work piling up, increased work absences, can't finish, projects or tasks on time, procrastinating, and also working long hours too. So here, here's are some other things that, that we can do to hopefully, to maybe hopefully help out, if we are feeling stressed out. We can try to problem solve, list, what is the problem, and, what are things we can do to try to resolve that problem. Learning new skills, making new routines, also changing our attitudes, eating healthy, exercising daily, at least 15 minutes a day. And, they say at least maybe even 30 minutes a day for at least 3 times a week. As we it keeps on coming up about, just making sure to get adequate sleep. Before midnight's best, but probably even before then as well. Also, try to, of course, not to say to try to avoid caffeine completely, but if you are, maybe noticing you are drinking, a little too much, or, the caffeine, that can also help, or especially depending, and on everybody's body. If maybe drinking caffeine not so late, or, in the afternoon, because sometimes that may help, I'm sorry, keep people up, or vice versa. Some people, they do drink caffeine, it actually helps calm them down a little bit. Avoiding alcohol, tobacco, or any illegal drugs, learning relaxation techniques, deep breathing, muscle relaxation, mental imaging, mindfulness. All of the ones that they just listed here are actually techniques that we practice with both the youth and families that we work with in the school and community settings. Rehearse situations beforehand. Kind of think about, what kind of triggers you, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, like what triggers you, and what, if we know that situation, if we know going into a situation beforehand is going to stress us out, kind of mentally prepare ourselves. Being assertive, state how you feel. It's important to let others know how you're feeling, but also, in an assertive or firm way. Learn practical coping skills, break large tasks into smaller ones. Know that it doesn't always have to get done in one day. Sometimes some things can get done over time. Try, not to have any negative self-talk, the procrastinating, or, try to eliminate, or, decrease the procrastination. Make and live within a budget. Sometimes money can be stressful for families. So just kind of sitting down and seeing, what is, something that we can do to try to like make sure that it doesn't get to the point where it's stressing us out. Like, where can we cut back on things? Where can we save? Also, don't demand perfection from yourself either. Listening to soothing music, working on fun hobbies, and that can be, yourself individually or as a family. We try to, when we're working with the families, we try to have them come up with new activities or new things that they can do as well. Have your pets or be with your pet. Those can be very calming and soothing. Talking to a friend, expressing gratitude, think some people have journals where they write down every day what they are grateful for. And then also, remembering, people aren't perfect. And so at times we may have to forgive others, and then, not go the opposite way of it, and, looking for revenge in situations. So, one of the things that was, talked about was doing some relaxation activities. And one thing that might be helpful is doing mini meditation. And this can actually be for adults and children or youth. So it's a really simple, short video. And like I said, I can share with y'all in the chat the video. But, just work, because meditation, it helps. There's a lot of studies that show that it helps out a lot. I'll read this little blurb about it, but then we're actually going to practice it a little bit right now, just to kind of get us in a little bit more calmer state. So meditation works to calm the stress response by focusing the brain on a single calm thought and supplying the brain with increased oxygen. The most basic form of meditation is a simple breathing exercise. When we are anxious, we breathe less deeply and more rapidly, which limits oxygen to the brain. Breathing exercises help us quiet our minds into a relaxed state so we can better manage emotions and refocus the thoughts. Like I said, we're just going to practice a little bit right now, this short meditation.
Hi, and welcome to Headspace. So no matter what's going on in your life right now, no matter how many thoughts are racing around your mind, no matter how the body's feeling, just take a moment to sit down and take a big deep breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in, a sense of taking in fresh air, the lungs expanding. As you breathe out, a sense of letting go of any stress in the body, in the mind, just feeling the muscles soften and relax. And close your eyes if you'd like to. One more Breathing deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just take a moment to pause. Allow the thoughts to come and go. And then just gently opening the eyes again.
Okay, so as you saw, that took like 1 minute and 5 seconds. So it doesn't take very long. It's just, having us to find time to just take that 1 minute to just kind of, focus and it's pretty, it's a lot like mindfulness and just being in the moment and just, clearing our heads for a little bit because, a lot, like I know a lot of families and parents and youth are going through a lot. So just remembering to just take a few minutes for themselves each day to reset, get their thoughts together, and hopefully, that can, change the way that their day is going, or maybe, even start off the day with a quick meditation as well.
Hi.
All right, so now we're going to switch over to talking a little bit about anger management. But before I switch over to to the next topic, I wanted to see if Sarah or if Danita had anything else they wanted to share or, like I said, add to the stress part of the presentation. And also, if there are any parents or people on the call that would like to, if had any questions or wanted to share anything else. All right. Okay, so
I would like to add just really quick, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Would add also understanding what those triggers that causes us to have stress is very important. That way we can mentally prepare ourselves for those moments that we often don't have control over and be able to have control over at least what we can in that aspect.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, the triggers part, well, I know we're going to talk a little bit more in the anger management portion of it. But yes, definitely, you can have triggers for both stress and also anger as well. All right. Okay. Okay, now Sarah, I know you weren't able to, I didn't realize you were on mute, but did you have anything else you wanted to add? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm not really add, but just I guess build off of Danielle is totally right about like knowing your triggers. One thing that I always focus on really intensely on the classes is like that connection between mind and body that we have. Like you were saying earlier, how it can affect our immune system, and then just how what I explain to the kids a lot is like we think about stretching as something that's like an athletic thing. You do it before games and sports and stuff, but we get really tense when we're really stressed out. So just taking some time to like move your body around can have a direct impact on our internal world.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so with anger, we have something that they, like I said, talk about in the Strengthening Families program called Tracking and Taming the Anger Monster. So we have something what we call pro-social, which is the good anger. It eradicates a crime or injustice, improves society. As we know, anger is a natural emotion. It's something that we're all going to experience. And it's just something that happens. And sometimes it just creeps up on us. Sometimes we kind of know when it's about to happen. But like I said, it's meant to alert and energize us when there is a need. There's a need to change a harmful situation. Just kind of think of it like a small flame shedding light on an injustice or problem. Anger can trigger a pro-social response to a negative situation. Then we have the antisocial or selfish anger, which seeks to dominate, punish, control, harms families, relationships, and society. Like any flame, anger can quickly rage out of control and become an antisocial and destructive force, fueled by selfish or imagined grievances, faulty beliefs, and hot thoughts. And hot thoughts are negative reactions to perceived problems or threats and can be counterproductive. Untamed anger can also damage our health, destroy relationships, and also harm society. So sometimes we have what we call our angry monster. So the angry monster, our angry monster's responses are learned behaviors. We can change them by reprogramming our brain, and we do this by tracking it. So noticing what noticing when and what triggers our anger. And then we can tame it by using reducers to calm our body's stress response, reminders to calm thoughts, and using new planned responses in aggravating situations. So here we're going to just kind of go through 5 simple steps to helping us manage our anger. So the first thing, as we mentioned before, is noticing and identifying our triggers. So we have to notice and write down what makes you angry. Also, know if they are external triggers, what others do, or are they internal triggers, what you say to yourself and how you interpret an event. So, here are just, some ideas of what might trigger us when we have these certain feelings. So somebody may feel triggered when they feel betrayed, or if they feel manipulated, or if they feel disrespected, if they feel unimportant, if they feel unwelcome, if they feel unheard, if they feel left out, if they feel blamed, if they feel judged, if they feel not good enough, or if they feel uncared for. And of course, these are just like a handful, because there are different things that can trigger our responses, and those can even come from, the smell of something, or if somebody, wears something, a certain shirt or logo that might remind them of somebody else. Yeah, there's, like I said, a whole variety of other triggers out there, but like I said, everyone's different. So we just have to kind of stop and think like, hey, what is this? A past experience as well. So a TV show, a song, like the list can go on and on and on. Um, and so I wanted to, just chime in with Danita and Sarah and see if there was anything else y'all wanted to add about the triggers, since I know this could be a bit, pretty important thing for us to get a good grasp on, especially with stress and anger.
Not specifically about the triggers, but I think the most important part of this is just, there's a lot of hope in realizing that we can train our brains to respond differently to different situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So,
So then the second, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, it wasn't so much a question, but is it okay for screenshotting these because they're really great?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yes. And let me know are they, if you need me to, stay on a page, like, or something, throw that in the chat box and I can always go back to a different page as well. So, okay. So then also, step 2, so noting, our cues. So notice and write down your physical, both your body's physical response to anger producing situations. And so this may include you feeling flushed or hot. Sometimes people get cold too. Our heart rate, our heart increases, so pounding heart, maybe a knot in your throat, or your uneasy feeling in your stomach, grinding teeth at night. That can be, also a result not just from anger, but also like from stress as well. Sweaty palms, clenched fists, and or muscles tense up, rapid breathing as well. So you can kind of see on this diagram where it's just kind of showing, anger and how it affects the body, or why, what happens and as a result of us acting a certain way. So for example, hitting and breaking things, it may release adrenaline into the body, creating a surge of power. Headaches, sharp pain, a throbbing sensation or dull ache, a muscle tension, them tightening up. It could be in your face, neck, back, anywhere. Yelling, screaming, shouting, or using a loud voice. Sleep disturbance, just having, lots of thoughts going on in our head. Upset or tight stomach, feeling discomfort, indigestion, pain, clenched fists, one or both fists tighten or clench, changing in breathing, dramatic increase in breathing rates as well. So like I said, just kind of taking, those cues of, oh, my body is feeling this way. So, okay, what else can I do to, since I know my body's feeling differently, I know that, something's about to happen. And then step 3, use anger reducers. So write down which reducers relieve your tension and anger. And this could include, just taking some deep breaths, sometimes counting, backwards counting. There's also a lot of research showing that if you can wait, maybe like 10, 15, 20 seconds, even 10 seconds at the most before responding back to, a situation, that can sometimes help alleviate some of that anger that's going to come out. So if you just kind of pause, you're like, okay, in your head, like, okay, I'm going to count to 10 before I make my response. And then, like I said, that could also help. Also calm, pleasant imaging, conscious, methodical, muscle relaxing, um, projecting and reflecting, what could happen if I don't control my anger? Why am I getting angry? Or is it worth being angry about? So just really kind of stopping. And I realize, when we're in a situation where we are feeling mad, sometimes it just happens so fast that we don't stop and pause. But if there is a time where you can actually stop and pause, that's always helpful. I was in a classroom a few weeks ago, and the teacher there was actually saying there's some sort of, and I think it's an AI program or website that you can go on where when you're upset, or especially for like work wise, if you're upset and you say you're going to write an email to somebody, and in this program, and I wish I knew the name of it, and like if somebody knows it, please throw it in the chat, but I have to ask the teacher again. But if you are upset, you write your response, your upset response in the this box, and then you let the AI or something, the program change it up, and it actually kind of changes it back to kind of a nicer email message, so that it kind of calms you down a little bit, so you don't just automatically respond. But I thought that was kind of interesting to see how it's even how they're realizing that there's a lot of anger within emails, and the way we communicate too as well, because that can go through text messaging too. It's really hard to tell the tone on text messaging, and so it's really difficult to interpret. Does anybody want to, Danita or Sarah, did y'all want add anything to any of the steps we've talked about so far?
No, I think you've pretty much said it all.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then step 4, use reminders. So cool thoughts, just kind of telling us to stay cool. It's not worth it. I'm not getting hooked onto this, like, or I'm not going to get, reeled in to, whatever's happening. Also using problem solving thoughts. How can I solve this peacefully? What are some other ways that I can go about it? Questioning your motives or thoughts. Why am I getting angry? What's behind this? Control and escape thoughts. I can walk away. And sometimes, in some situations, it's just best to walk away. Or it's okay to take, a timeout. So if you're in a situation and it's just not, it's just not going anywhere, it's just say like, okay, I think, it's time for us to kind of, just stop, with this. And, we're just gonna just settle it, or just not go on with it, agree to disagree pretty much. Um, Forward-looking thoughts, what will happen if I let myself get angry? And then also self-rewarding thoughts. I'm not yelling, I'm just gonna stay calm. And like I said, these are, hard things to remember all the time. But, as long as we try to implement, one the next time, or try to, think back, like if you are in a situation that's getting you kind of aggravated or annoyed, just kind of think about like, okay, is this really worth it? Can I just ask like for a little time to myself before I respond back So, and then step 5, evaluate response. So write your response, analyze anger outbursts by answering these questions. How did I do? Was I aggressive, passive aggressive, or assertive? And of course, all of these, I mean, you can write them down, which would be great, but sometimes, we can just kind of think about these questions internally and kind of answer them, to ourselves. Did I react to any faulty assumptions on how I thought people should act? Were my grievances real or imagined? Did selfishness or jealousy kindle my anger? What hot thoughts fed my anger? What were the consequences? Do I value the power of a peacemaker? And, what can I do differently or better next time to get a better outcome as well? So after, you've gone through the situation, it's, and this can be for yourself or also with your children or any other family member, any other friend too, is where they say they're going, they went through, you saw them get angry and you saw them go through all these different, stages and just kind of ask them, you can have follow-up questions. Ask them some of these follow-up questions. And, one thing you can also set is, what value does it bring by me like being angry? Or, what good is there anything good came out of me being angry as well? Or if there's anything positive of me being, reacting this way too, those are just some questions to kind of think about. And so, there's also different emotions, and this is mostly, kind of for us to be aware of ourselves, but also, our children's emotions. So we can, we have so many different emotions that we experience. Sometimes it's multiple, daily or maybe all day, we just kind of feel the same way. But there's 5 steps to emotional coaching. So first, it's be aware of your child's feelings and emotions. Also be calm, recognize negative emotions as a positive teaching opportunity. Also show empathy, validate your child's feelings by paraphrasing what he or she is feeling. Also help your child identify and label his or her emotions, teaching, the vocabulary, the different emotions or the vocabulary here. And then help your child decide ways to express emotions in pro-social ways, and then also set behavior limits too. So I think it's a nice little, and I've seen these before in some schools where they have the emotion chart just so, especially youth could kind of identify how they're feeling because sometimes it's hard for them to put words to what they're feeling. So these images kind of help them out with that. So also it's important for to face up to your feelings and manage negative emotions. So regularly using emotion coaching helps raise emotionally resilient children, which can lead to better physical health, improves grades in school, have fewer behavior problems, get along better with friends and also family too, more emotionally resilient and mentally healthy than children whose parents who don't use the skill. So like I said, just trying to bring up some new ideas. I know, not everybody's going to go, run with all of these ideas and start implementing, but, like I said, just kind of getting us to think about some other ways to handle or manage any type of stress or anger that we have. So here's also, some ways to maybe help reduce family conflict. Maintain respect for your child, spouse, or partner, even during an argument, bringing up problems in a non-blaming way, staying focused on finding an acceptable solution to the current problem and don't drag up past issues. Stay calm and don't let hot thoughts cause you to rage. Take a break if you feel yourself getting hostile. And also use I feel messages. For example, this is one: I feel angry and upset because of blah, whatever happened, but I still love you. When we're calm, I'd like to work to find a solution. I absolutely love, talking about I statements or I feelings. We talk about them in the schools with our curriculum and with our family program because it can really change the way a message comes across. And when we're doing it in the schools, we have the students come up with examples that they're experiencing or, situations that they've been in. And so we have them practice say, I feel this way because, and what I need you to do is this. So it really comes across like, in a different tone. It can really change the way, the other person may respond as well. I always think of an example when we were doing Strengthening Families program, and we practiced this with this one family, and it was a teenage daughter. And what was happening is her mom would just barge into the room, and it really frustrated the teenage daughter about, that she would just do that. And so I said, okay, perfect. Let's practice this. Like, instead of you saying like, I hate you walking into my room, I said, just change it up. So what she ended up saying is, and I'm trying to think the best off the top of my head, but I feel upset when you barge into my room. Next time, do you mind knocking before coming in? So it can definitely change up the way it sounded. So just kind of thinking, taking that into consideration of like, okay, when you say I feel, it, definitely changes how the other person, like I said, may respond back. Use mindfulness or deep breathing to trigger relaxation response. Recover quickly from arguments. Don't let resentments carry on. Negotiate a solution. Forgive and then forget. Don't let anger from an argument spill over into other areas of your life. Separate your conflict from the rest of your relationship by being mindful of the things you do like about your family member. Dianita or Sarah, did y'all want to add anything to any of these steps on, or ideas on how to reduce family conflict?
I know we also talk a lot about accountability. So sometimes whenever you are trying to reach a solution within your family for a certain conflict, writing it down and making that responsibility personal completely is a game changer as well. We have contracts that we have in our program that we offer the family so that they could sit down and figure out what the conflict is, what the solutions may be, and the solutions are thought up with the parents and the children. The entire family thinks about different types of solutions, and whenever you put that type of responsibility on your children, it gives them more ownership over it and they want to follow through with the solution to the conflict. So those are other things that we do offer with our program.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I was going to say this applies both to the family conflict and also just the emotional regulation stuff. I think it's really important to remember that we all have big, messy feelings, and normalizing that with your kids is really important. And then you can model, using those tools that Marissa was talking about to show them that, it's normal to feel big, messy feelings. And not a lot of us learn emotional regulation when we're kids. So I think it's a really good opportunity to use like concrete tools to model that.
Great. Thank you. All right, so that takes us to the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat, any comments, questions. I'm also gonna, on the next screen, I'm also going to share a evaluation form. So you can either use the QR code, or also I'm gonna throw the link in the chat box as well. So like I said, please, feel free to, if you do have a few minutes to take the the survey that we have here. And like I said, I will throw those in the chat box shortly. So I'll give y'all a few minutes just to take the QR code. And then, like I said, I'm going to stop sharing so I can put those in the chat for you. All right, so let me copy and paste those real quick. And then I'll also put my contact information in the chat as well. All right, so the first one that I put in there is the English survey, and then the second one is the Spanish, the link to the Spanish survey as well. Oh, sorry, I think I put it to Dana, the first one. Let me switch it up a bit. Didn't realize I was just chatting with her, not everybody else. All right, so there's the first one. And yes, I did see this. Yes, we do have programming in Spanish as well. When we set up these, it was just kind of hard because we're kind of all over the place right now. So I didn't want to commit to having, all the presentations you know, we just, now that we have a little bit more flexibility, we do have, like I said, can provide these bilingually. I'm gonna throw, like I said, my information in there as well, just so you can copy and paste. Right. I don't think there's too many other questions, but we will be here each week providing different lessons, kind of the same thing. We'll have some staff on to help out and co-facilitate. But yeah, if you have any other, you know, if you know any other families or parents that, you know, be interested in joining us in this series, please ask, you know, please invite them. We'd love to have more faces and, you know, families and or parents involved as well.